Alright, super fun project for you here. Let's reset my calipers, make sure they're zeroed out. I'm measuring out my GoPro Max. Gonna find out, how tall, how wide. Gonna make a little mount. I've had this idea about... I've really enjoyed a lot of the shots that people do at cliffs and different areas where the cameras kind of follow them. They got those little darts. You can put your Hero 8 or your 7 or even like a little session in it. Kind of have it chase you. Was super cool, but it is still singular in the view that it has, and I'm like, I want to be able to do that with my Fusion. Now, when you're throwing the Fusion, that's a little more difficult, a little more touchy-feely, because protection's a big concern. Make sure you take care of those lenses. So what I did is I'm going to make a little case. You can see me here measuring it out here. I'm going to decide how tall, how wide. I'm going to kind of protect it as much as I can. My thought is I can put those lens protectors on it as well, so if I wanted to get into some interesting applications, I was a little bit worried, I'd put on those protectors and then I could throw it, and then the camera shouldn't take a whole lot of damage because this casing, this little housing I'm making, should protect it. So I'm basically just measuring it, how wide, how tall, all the good stuff. I'm starting to build out the little frame that this is going to go around. My plan is to go to Home Depot, get some 1" by 1/8" aluminum flat, and that's going to be the middle piece. It also helps me feel really good about, if something plastic on the end of this thing broke off, that I wouldn't lose the camera. So basically the camera is gonna screw through the actual aluminum, giving me a really solid, pretty comfortable feeling that the camera should never become disconnected with that aluminum. And then I'll build a tail section that's super tidy, super comfortable. I'm even going to put a little ring on it so that, let's say we were in a cliff jumping application, I picture myself hooking my fishing line to it on this little ring in the back, and you could actually toss it, let it trail somebody, hit the water, and I could reel it back up the mountainside, and nobody else would have to worry about getting it, because I could get it right back up to the top and in time and ready for the next person to bail. So it should be super cool. I look forward to trying that. Haven't been out yet. This COVID-19 thing's really got us on lockdown. Super painful. Hopefully everybody's riding it out well. Anyway, back to the build. So this camera setup is going to be for my Max. It's just going to be pretty simple. This tail section, I need it to float, obviously, so if it goes in the water, like I say, I'm using the aluminum to make sure my camera stays on the aluminum. My aluminum is going to be really attached really well to the tail section where this little float. It's basically a little floaty noodle. You've seen those, but I weighed it out to decide how much of a floaty noodle I would need to really make this whole mount float well when it's in the water. And one thing I was looking forward to testing out, and you'll see at the end of the video, we took it to a pool for the first time and had some pretty good results. So get to the end and see that. But I tested out how much weight that floaty noodle would hold to make sure it stays buoyant. I cut it to that size, and then I started shaping these little wings and things on the backside to kind of give me some direction and give me a little balance. Everything with a dart needs to have that end weight that is heavier so it'll trail and fly right. But that's the concept. I've even added some bigger wings on one section to try and keep the camera from really rotating, not only when it goes through the air but also when it hits the water. Alright, so I'm just finishing this thing up. This is a little cap. It's got to go on the end, holds the float on the aluminum. It's the last little simple piece, and we should have it all done. Right here is the complete unit. You see the aluminum, I left it full length. I thought about cutting it down a little bit, but it's still about 36 inches, about 3 feet. Like I said, everything's mounted tidy to the aluminum, so it should stay together. That little ring on the back goes through the aluminum. The float has the plug. It should have a hard time ever breaking free, breaking loose. Yeah, so it's made to kind of throw underhand. I could picture you could throw it like an ancient spear. Probably shouldn't do it that way. But this little underhand toss is what we're going to go with first time around. This is a different mount. I'm going to have another video on this one. It might create some pretty epic footage. It's for wakeboarding, long story. You'll have to tune in on that one, see how it goes, but it could be pretty epic. So this little mount, I tried to make a cutout so you could reach in. Obviously hit the record button. That was another key feature. I put some holes in it, try and lighten it up a little bit. You don't need it too heavy. Obviously, you don't want to hit anybody with it when you're throwing it, so stay safe, have some fun, do stuff like that. But it should work. Let's test it out. You can see kind of what I'm looking for here. What's awesome, and what I was hoping for is that the camera would follow the person underwater and be far enough underwater that it would show them, you know, splash and then enter the water. And you can see that it kind of works here. Not perfect because it's really hard for the Max, probably hard for any 360 camera to merge, you know, the video together underneath the water and tie it together. So I'm sure it's really difficult for it. You can see that it has a hard time. So I'm going to take it out. We'll do a little follow-up video to this where we throw it at a different angle, because I was throwing it with the camera kind of facing me. So if you could picture it up and down instead of horizontal, like left to right. So I'm going to go back, we're going to video, I'm going to throw it left to right. I think the video of it will work just fine. It'll fly through the air fine, it'll land in the water, and then it'll have one camera facing the person in the water, and I'll probably get a little more clear, a little more solid footage. Even though some of these work pretty good, I think we'll get something better. Big thanks from Zen Times 10 for watching. If you like that video, make sure you subscribe. We have future promos and contests coming up. Click that like button and drop us a comment on the way out.